I've said it before, I will say it again. We can't balance the budget on the backs of the very people who have borne the biggest brunt of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in.
Everyone's going to have to chip in.
The biggest brunt. I've said it before, I will say it again. We can't balance the budget on the backs of the very people who have the biggest brunt of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in.
Everyone's going to have to chip in.
That's only fair. That's the principle I'll be fighting for during the next phase of this process.
Joining us now to make his case is Scott Silverman. He's chairman and CEO of Applied Digital Solutions. That's the parent company of Verichip. And Mr. Silverman, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. We're looking at this little chip right here. You brought some in with us, tiny little things. But what we heard yesterday was kind of scary. How do you react to that?
Well, Becky,
this point, 2419.
we appreciate that very much, and obviously the comments that were made yesterday is the reason that I'm sitting here today. As you know, Verichip has been approved by the FDA as a Class 2 medical device.
Verichip has been approved by the FDA as a Class 2 medical device
in order to identify high-risk patients in an emergency situation. It's elective, it's voluntary, and it is certainly critical to the evolution of information technology in healthcare, which we all know is archaic, the way healthcare is done today in emergency rooms and physicians' offices.
Distance and all at this point, 2419. I'm very happy with where the scope is for the distance and all at this point. 2419.
Office and then discover you left your ID at home. Well, one company in Sweden has come up with a unique way to make sure that doesn't happen. A microchip implant. NBC's Keir Simmons is in Stockholm this morning with more on that. Keir, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. You've seen it in the movies. A human being merges with a computer to become a so-called cyborg. Well, I have now had a computer chip inserted into my left hand. It cost around $300, and in a moment, it will be showing being a live television first. I'm going to open a door with my cyborg hand.
I'm going to put a man inside a machine.
Okay, so they're not going to turn me into RoboCop, but here in Sweden at this high-tech office block, they're going to inject a computer chip into my hand. And this is the guy who's going to do it.
Are you nervous?
I am nervous.
Yeah. You don't have to be. It's not going to be that bad.
Really? Because that's a big needle. Okay. Cecilia Osterholm starts her day with this new technology. She swapped her keys for a chip in her hand that uses a radio signal to open doors. You have a chip in your hand there?
That's right. It's been inserted there.
Right. So that's how do you open it? Just like that. So obviously what I really want to know is how much it hurts.
It does hurt a little bit, but it's like a basic vaccination shot, so it's not too bad.
Her office, Epicenter in Stockholm, connects big corporations like Microsoft with fast-growing companies. And for place, all 700 employees here have been given the chance to use the technology to become more efficient.
So if you hold the phone against my chip, you will get my contact details.
Look at that's you. In the movies, from Matrix to Minority Report, we've watched technology take over our lives.
It's a smart house.
It even happens in Annie. And now it's coming true in real life.
If you don't need keys to access your building, if you don't need credit cards or PIN codes and things like that to do purchases, those are things that will really simplify your life.
Life for me was about to get simpler. And you know what they say, no pain, no gain. So the chip in here is quite small, right?
Yeah, it's super small. It's like a grain of rice. A deep breath and exhale.
And with that, I became part man, part machine. Right, cue the superhuman music, guys. Here comes the big reveal. Here on my left hand, you can still see the mark, is where that chip has been inserted into my hand. Now I am going to take this cyborg hand, I'm going to place it up against the reader here. There's a little blue reader that is looking at the chip in my hand.
Verichip, subsidiary of publicly traded Applied Digital, has added Tommy Thompson to its board of directors. Company hoping the former Health and Human Services Secretary can help accelerate the use of RFID for healthcare and security applications.
I'm very happy with where the scope is for the distance and all at this point. 2419. I'm very happy with where the scope. For the distance and all at this point. 2419. I'm very happy with where the scope is for the distance and all at this point. 2419. Very happy with where the scope is for the distance and all at this point. 2419.
RFID and his plans for Verichip, Tommy Thompson, former Health and Human Services Secretary, and Scott Silverman, Chairman and CEO of Applied Digital. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be on your program.
Ms. Thompson, I'll start with you. We're doing a poll today. Would you have one of these things implanted in your arm, or I don't know, under your scalp, or wherever you put it?
You put it in your right arm, and it's very small, and it doesn't bother you at all, but it certainly is going to allow you to identify who you are, protect your child. If you have a new child that's born in a nursery, you can protect that child from having somebody walk off with it. You can also protect your loved ones in a nursing home so that you can put a bracelet on and identify that individual and be able to find that individual if that person wanders away. But I certainly would, and I think it's a coming thing. And the problem is that medical technology is so far behind that RFIDs are going to really be the impetus in order for us to get new technology in the medical field that's going to help people improve their quality of care. And that's what it's all about.
And I'm sorry.
Very happy with where the scope is for the distance and all at this point. 2419. I'm very happy with where the scope is for the distance and all at this point. 2419.
You would get one implanted in your arm?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Okay.
That's it.
No concerns? No concerns at all? Because I have to admit, it makes me a little queasy, makes me worry. What happens if it gets dislodged? Am I being irrational?
No, but just think of this. Now, if you were, wherever you are, if you're traveling, you're in New Jersey now and you're interviewing me in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Can you imagine if you were in Washington, D.C. and had an accident or had a stroke and went into the hospital? How long would it be before your records could get down here? How long would it take to be able to find out what sort of meds you're on or what allergies you have or what are you allergic to?
But people right now just use cards that are in their wallet. They carry around cards that say what my blood type is, if I have any allergies.
But the truth of the matter is, the doctor
very happy with where the scope is for the distance and all at this point. 2419. I'm very happy with where the scope is for the distance and all at this point. 2419.
and the emergency ward certainly wouldn't. And the problem is that technology is so far behind. in the medical field that people are dying every day because of the lack of technology. The 98,000 people died last year because of mistakes in hospitals and clinics across America, and a good share of those mistakes could have been prevented by technology. RFID is at the cutting edge of new technology, is going to help to improve the quality of health and the quality of care for all Americans.
Mr. Silverman, what about privacy concerns?
Very happy with where the scope is for the distance and all at this point. 2419. Very happy with where the scope is for the distance and all at this point. 2419.
The privacy issue associated with RFID technology really disappears because VeriChip is a voluntary product that is used by a patient for specific medical ailments, such as dementia, such as medical device recipients that need to identify their devices and their medical records, such as cardiac care patients and diabetic patients as well, who will voluntarily receive a VeriChip, as they've started to receive them in the North Jersey area where Hackensack University Medical Center has adopted the system.
I've said it before, I will say it again, we can't balance the budget on the backs of the very people who have borne the biggest brunt of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in.
Everyone's going to have to chip in.
We can't balance the budget on the backs of the very people who have borne the biggest brunt of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in.
Everyone's going to have to chip in.
I've said it before, I will say it again, we can't balance the budget on the backs of the very people who have borne the biggest brunt of this recession. Everyone's going to have to chip in.
Everyone's going to have to chip in.
That's only fair. That's the principle I'll be fighting for during the next phase of this process.